Well, you've muted yourself.
I bet I haven't now, have I? It's my touch screen, remember, wiggly mouse. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Lovely, good. Right, so the reasons for the project. IT work experience. I was a tutor in IT for more years than I care to remember, and work placements are really difficult. If anybody does well with work placements for their IT students, especially kind of level 3 students, I'd love to know. Well, our work experience team would love to know your secret. So, work experience was really difficult. It just was, and we had these kind of random internal projects that, if let me turn the camera off, and there we go. We had these random internal projects that were kind of where we connected with employers, and they created websites. So they came along and created websites, but some of the students, or quite a lot of the students, didn't have the technical ability or knowledge, and it was beyond, well, essentially me at that stage to sort of deliver that in the confines of the project, of the work experience project. So as part of a course, it'd be fine. Within the constraints of work experience, it really wasn't. So we needed something that sort of filled that gap, that was enriching and valid. So we chose. And again, generally our IT students, technical ability, mostly, I mean, they're really spiky, but mostly at level 3, they're easily up to the level of the course. And actually, in sort of key areas, they're well beyond the level of the course as well. So I've put some communication skills undeveloped. Really, our IT students might be typical students. You'll be able to tell me that in the chat. They don't like talking to people. They don't like talking to people in the classroom, let alone talking to people outside the classroom. So it's kind of really key that they build those communication skills up. Letting people understand that actually nobody, or almost nobody, sits in front of a computer on their own and doesn't talk to anybody in IT is really kind of key. So we wanted a project that would develop those communication skills and sort of push them beyond their comfortable limits, let's say, not beyond their full limits. They'd rather remain tethered to a PC. They don't want to go out and do anything else. And as regards the wider community, they don't really want to go out and talk. And that's probably typical across all students. Actually go out and talk to these people that you've never met before in deeper, meaningful ways is quite a task. It's quite an ask for those students. So the inspiration for the project, we developed this memory box project. The inspiration for the project came from Lee Whitmarsh. If people have never heard of him, look him up. He ran this project with a group of sixth form creative students, the same kind of project. And it's now developed into something called Sway Life Stories. So if you use a popular search engine and look at Sway Life Stories, you'll see the similarities. And actually, Lee gave us our blessing. I asked him about some points before we got started. The next inspiration came from my mum, who has dementia. Without telling the whole story, she displayed at the time typical early onset dementia. She fell over quite a bit and ended up in hospital. So spent 6 weeks in hospital, and that's where the memory thing really started to sort of come to the fore. And it was when I was there one day at hospital talking to her, and she was really low. Everything about her body posture, the way she spoke, her connection was really, really low. And so I said to her, what we'll do is let's make a playlist of your favourite songs on Spotify and share it with the boys, my sons. And in doing that, she became really animated, and she really enjoyed the experience, even though she's never going to go onto a computer and use Spotify on her own. It was obvious the sort of memories it brought back, and the change in her emotion and her mood. It was obvious from that, and it was actually really good for the boys, one of whom is particularly keen on music. They went off and listened to the tracks, and some of the tracks they said, "Oh yeah, we love that track. We're going to add it to our playlist," and it gave them something to talk to mum about. It was from a family point of view, it was a brilliant thing. So that was kind of my personal inspiration, and it was then, and seeing what Lee Whitmarsh had done, that I realised this was a project that would work. Helping the students, because as I was saying about communication, helping the students to engage with a wider community, not only people outside of the college, but actually people from another generation. Again, outside of their close families, when I discussed the project with them, that it was clear that they didn't really talk to, in quotes, old people. I think that's anything 20 plus at the time, really. And in doing so, and in seeing the impact on my sons, who were of a similar age when we started this project, which has been running for about four years now, I think, to develop their communication skills and their confidence in talking to people outside of their normal, I suppose, bubble is a term we'd use now. So it was organised with level 3 year students. They undertook some dementia training, some dementia awareness training, and were encouraged to become dementia friends, which in itself was an interesting stage, because the students responded. All of the students have always responded really well to this, but the amount of students who say, "Oh yes, I've got a grandma or a great grandma who's really who's suffering with dementia in some kind of form or other," and so it sort of opened up that conversation with the students, and also in doing the project, it gave them a direction to take their communication and engagement with a different generation. So our health and social care students delivered some of the training, and our dementia awareness expert gave some training, and people were encouraged, and lots did sign up to become dementia friends and make the pledge, which was really nice. Then letters and emails sent to local care homes. So our work experience team, who were on board from the start, had to approve it through them. They were really keen on it, and because of the health and social care placements, they already had the context. So they sent the contacts. So they sent letters and emails out to local care homes. Placements were organised. A lot of timetable shifting. Care homes can be fluid sometimes in the way that that the residents are available to talk to. So we managed to sort of work out a timetable when our students could go down in groups. The last one we ran, we had 6 local care homes. And so we split our 70 students up into 6 local care homes. Some students were working individually, some with a support worker. I actually supported some students who had sort of for whom direct communication without any support would have been a bit of a challenge. And so we rocked off to the care homes, and the students went prepared with a set of questions, some of which were prompted. We gave them a cheat sheet. If you really can't manage anything else, make sure you ask these questions. But then they added their own questions. We also coached the students before the visits in how to draw out and ask open questions, and how to sort of draw information out from people. And in terms of our IT students, if that's a help desk situation that they end up going into, that kind of skill is sort of really important. So students went along and visited the care homes, met with the residents, and in some cases their families who wanted to be part of this. and then gathered resources. The resources could have been a set of photographs from a photo album. All approvals were given for their use by the care homes, their families, and the college. The students were given a contract to sign that says how these materials would be used and where they would be stored and for how long. And then students returned to college, and over the period of a week, so it was full sessions, they were off timetable for a week, they gathered together resources and developed the memory box, which was produced using Sway. I don't know if people would like to put their hands up if they are Sway users. Let me not rely upon my mouse. So if you've used Sway already, then just stick your hand up. Ah, there we go. Okay. So I've got a link at the end of the presentation that shows a short link to the Sway training on the Microsoft Education community. So if you've not used it, it's brilliant, and actually the students love it. And oddly enough, our health and social care students really love it. No PowerPoints, all Sway for them. So then they returned to homes and presented. So they presented the Sways back to the residents, and that was done in a range of formats, some of which was one-to-one with residents who elected as such. And then the first time was the year before last. We got back to the care home, and I supported one group of students through, and they said, all of our residents want them to be up on the big screen in the lounge. Can we do that? So a bit of nerve calming for the students. And we set up and then ran it to, there must have been 40 or 50 people. So these students all of a sudden were thrown into the position where they were having to present across to a very large audience of complete strangers outside of their generation. And nobody refused. It was touch and go at some points, but nobody refused. And certainly this year, we highlighted the fact that students could be in this position and to sort of prepare, or say if you're not going to turn up because you're going to present to a whole group of people, you need to let us know now and be honest about it so that we could support them. And in fact, this year they presented to whole groups of students, and again, nobody denied that. Nobody said they weren't going to do it. So students, so the residents saw their Sways, got some applause, which was lovely for the students. And in fact, one of the presentations, it was really difficult because the resident had nothing, literally nothing of her husband. Don't know why that happened, and I certainly wasn't asking. But we're based down in Hertfordshire, and there's a local town, Hitchin, and she happened to say that her husband played for Hitchin years ago in the 60s. So student came to me during the creation of this way and said, I think I've got a photograph of her husband in his football kit, but I was really worried, so I've done an awful lot of research to make sure, because I don't want to upset her, which was absolutely fantastic. So when it came to that slide, when it came to that screen on the Sway, he turned the screen over, and this lady who was sat in a chair, like pride of place in the middle of the room, said, "That's my husband. I've never seen that picture." And honestly, everybody was weeping. We were weeping. I don't think the students were, because they're too big for that. But it was really meaningful, a magical moment to be present in. So they presented the Sways. If a resident said, "Oh, this isn't quite the right place that I grew up in," then they're not the right house from Google Street View or something like that, then they would make those corrections. in place, and then they gave them an access card, a little card, which went back with the resident to share with their family or whoever they wished, which included a password that allowed them to access at any time. And I think that's kind of me doing, these are some testimonials. Let's do the sway first. Right, let's go and pick an instance out. Here we go. So this is a design view of sway. This is what sway looks like when you're editing it, and this is one view of a sway. So this is a woman called Doreen. This is wasn't a recent picture of her. Doreen goes on holiday, and whoops, gone up too far. Let me do this slowly. Right, so it's got a combination of pictures, lots of pictures that can be looked through. That she had quite an extensive library of photographs, and each picture, if I can get my mouse on that, each picture will have a little description as to what's going on in the picture. I've copied this a few times because they gave us permission. I'm not sure if we've got that. We've got that version here. So you can actually pull it up and run it as a slideshow. That was, I remember this so well now, that was Piccadilly Circus, the first place they met. And so then we can go on and look at their wedding, rough proof. So I'm presuming that they didn't pay for full photographs. So it has a story to it. When you were young, she grew up in Shepherd's Bush, loved the warm summer days. There's a YouTube video. I won't play the YouTube video, but she specifically grew up near to White City and the Olympic Village there, and so we've got some pictures back from her days, a video back from their days, where they moved to, her and her brother. In fact, when we produced this, there were some details. This was Belgium. Actually, originally she said it was France, but it was Belgium. So that was changed as we were actually at the centre. And it's just a nice life story of her memories. So during the war, she was evacuated. She was evacuated to Falmouth. There's a couple of views of Falmouth there, and we actually had her family there at this stage. In fact, I will share the audio on this. So we had her family there, and they sent us a recording that they made about a project. So this was her grandson when he was very young. Being asked,
how did it feel to be unsafe? Like bombs could come down at any moment?
It's funny, but when you're young, you don't think that way. Just don't think that way.
And this was about, I think about 10 years before she was admitted to the home, something like that.
But that's as far as you think.
So that's got a lovely piece of audio that someone luckily captured, and she was able to, because her husband had died by this point, she was able to remember from that. Oh, that was when he was still here, and so brought up other memories, which obviously the students were part of experiencing. So then we have some pictures from her early life and her family and her children. On a bike in Greece. A couple of pictures that are of her on holiday. Pictures that she had. Didn't have any holiday pictures from later on, oddly enough. The Romney Hyde and Dymchurch Light Railway, which if Elaine's still here, Kevin Sate would really love. And then a playlist from YouTube. So all of this can be included automatically. So create a simple playlist of songs. I won't play you the songs. It's Sergio Mendes. It's freaking awesome. And then we have a credit at the end to the project. So that's what a Sway Memory Box project looks like. And that's my experience. have we got any questions? Would anybody like to ask any questions from this? If you, Carrie, yes, if you come off mic, yeah.
Hello. Do you have a copy of the questions that you gave to the students to ask?
I can add that. I can add that to this if you'd like. Yes. Let me open Notepad. Should be to do, but send list of questions. Yep. And there's some simple tips in there of sort of things to remember just before you walk in the door.
Brilliant. Thank you.
That's right. Anyone else?
That was great, thanks, Phill.
That's we haven't got any other hands up. I can't see the hands.
No, just carry on, but I think she's had hers answered, so.
Okay, fine. Oh, let me just go back to here then. F5. So I've got some testimonials. None of them say, yeah, it was rubbish. We don't know why you brought our students along, oddly enough. In fact, this was from a parent, which was unsolicited, which was really lovely. Enjoyed the whole experience. They've talking about it since the return. I've started to sway through our family, which is really lovely to see. And finally, there's a link if you haven't already done it. And if Elaine, you haven't done, I want to know why. The sway training on the mech.
Excellent.
And that's it. Thank you for attending, everyone. And I hope you've had a great day.
We have, Phill. I have to dash because I've got a session now.
That's lovely. Okay, great. I'll see you later. If anybody else has got any questions, I'll hang around for a couple of minutes. Oh, there's a chat there.
Brilliant.
See you later, Elaine.
I'll leave you to it, Phill. Thank you ever so much.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks very much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, Alan. Yes, I've just seen your comment. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very touching. And such valuable work. So it was brilliant.
If you can get the students to buy into it, it's amazing, and it's all about the way that you approach it. I can't imagine asking 70 IT students to voluntarily do a project like this without understanding why they're doing it. And once we did that, then it became clear to them.
Yeah, no, fabulous. Thank you very much for sharing.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, cheerio then. So I suppose someone's going to stop the recording now?
Yeah, I'll stop that now.
Lovely, excellent.